Interior design trends for 2025. Every year I do an interior designs video for the year ahead. So let's get straight in with the first one. So the first interior design trend I've got for you is actually a colour, and this is brown. So if you look back at my interior design trends for 2024, slowly warming from grey to beige, and now we're looking at brown. Brown is currently making its way through all the influencer pages, all the Instagram, Pinterest boards. We will be seeing a lot more brown, and this might represent itself in a dark burnt orange or a burgundy red, or just what it is, brown. I saw in my research that brown was going to be coming through thick and fast in 2024. And now I feel like in 2025 that is really catching up and becoming more apparent. I feel like it's going from the greys to the beiges to the browns, and I don't know what's after brown. Black? I'm not quite sure. But brown can look so good in your home. It can be brought in with different shades of wood, dark woods, but it can also be in your accessories, so your cushions, your throws, or if you really want to, you can go ahead and completely colour drench your front room in a rich brown colour. But we will be seeing a lot more of this brown, red, and this point comes off the fact that Pantone have nominated their colour of the year as Mocha Mousse. So my second interior design trend for you is stripes. So in 2024, the back end of 2024, we saw a lot of stripes coming through in what the different shops were selling and what you could see on Instagram and Pinterest, and what the interior designers were putting into their projects. And that could be stripes on towels, on cushions, on headboards. I've seen stripes coming through on lampshades, and all these different items of the home are coming through with stripes on them. I absolutely love a striped trend, but it's funny how back a few years ago stripes weren't in anymore and the check was in, and now we're kind of seeing the square turn into a line and come through more as stripes. So I think this is coming off that kind of like farmhouse theme. We're seeing a lot of these striped cushions pushing through, and it is giving that kind of farmhouse feel. Number 3, not my favourite, but it's maximalism. So you will see a lot of bold colours, dark colours, bold patterns. It will be a little bit more kind of tame than what we usually think of as maximalism. So there will be clashing prints, but it'll be subtle rather than like in your face, bold, wild, kind of like zebra print and floral print against each other. It won't be that kind of disconnected. So we'll be moving away from that chaotic maximalism, and it will be maximalism, but it will be very kind of in unison together. So you might have a bold pattern on the wall in a wallpaper, but you'll have similar tones from that wallpaper in a bold colour on the wall. We're going to be seeing textured ceilings making a return, maybe not in the form of Artex, but maybe some Victorian inspired wallpaper on the ceiling. This is not something I'm going to be doing anytime soon. As a renovator, the thought of having to strip wallpaper off ceilings from 2025 trends is not one that I want to be thinking about. So this leads me on very nicely to the point of textured walls and textured ceilings. So we are going to be seeing a return of textured walls, textured ceilings. You know, this really brings me back to kind of like the 90s when there was bubble wallpaper everywhere and lots of different textures on the walls. We will be seeing a return of this, but again, it won't be done in the same sense as like the 80s and 90s. We will be seeing it maybe under a dado rail and in a rich, bold colour, kind of mimicking that Victorian hallway theme. But we will be seeing that quite a bit coming through on Instagram, Pinterest,
interior designers putting it into their home, which kind of is coming under this maximalism trend. So yeah, I feel like maximalism is actually kind of feeding into a lot of these 2025 trends this year. Okay, and number 5, this was on my list last year and it is continuing into this year's video, and that is a traditional modern interior design style. Now this is actually something that I really love. I feel like it is bringing lots of original features from the past back. People are putting things back into their home. They're putting coving, moulding, paneling, and we're actually appreciating real art rather than just like prints off Desenio, for example, that have been digitally created. This trend is bringing back oil paintings. It's bringing back actual artwork, which I think is something that I'm really loving. This is something that we would have been selling from our grandma's home, but now we're actually thinking, I'll keep that one actually. So yeah, I think we'll be seeing a lot of this. We'll be seeing a lot of antique gold. We'll be seeing, again, rich colours coming through if you feel bold enough. So yeah, it's quite a lot different to what my interior design style video was about 2 years ago, where Japansy was what I was seeing coming through the most, which does have a lot of dark woods in it. So yeah, that does have a lot of dark woods in it, which we are seeing in this new kind of era of trends, but it's done in a very different way. So we're talking like way more kind of maximalism, coming back to kind of like the UK British interior design styles. So yeah, we'll be seeing a lot more brown, dark rich greens, dark rich purples, dark rich reds. My 6th point is also something that I mentioned last year, which is still coming through thick and fast for 2025, and that is colour drenching, or actually just drenching in general. So if you've ever heard of double drenching, this is where you are completely colour drenching the room. So you're doing the ceilings, the coving, the skirting board, the walls, the doors, but instead of just using one colour, you are literally colour drenching in 2 different tones. So you'll have, say, green on the walls, and then you might have a slightly different green on the skirting boards and the architraves, the doors and the coving. So it's like completely colour drenching the room, and the ceiling of course would be the same colour as the walls, but you are using 2 different colours instead of just one. Tile drenching is also something that we might see in 2025. So instead of using different tiles in different places in the room, you will see the same tile on the floor, the walls, and even the ceiling. And then the other aspect of this drenching is wood drenching and material drenching. So we'll be seeing, for example, a wooden cladded wall that might be taken up to the ceiling, all the way around the room, and just really drenching the room in whatever material is being used. I think I quite like colour drenching and drenching the room in different materials. It kind of just creates cohesion in the room and kind of easy on the eye. So yeah, we've got quite a few different drenching techniques here. We've got colour drenching, we've got double drenching, and then probably my least favourite, which is tile drenching and the material drenching, because I feel like those 2 last ones, they're quite costly if you no longer wanted to drench your room. But with the colour drenching, you can always just repaint your walls if you so wish. So we've recently kind of done a bit of colour drenching in Alex's office, where we've colour drenched all of the panelling and the skirting boards in a dark green, but then we have left the top half white and the ceiling white. So we've kind of done the double drenching there. So my 7th point is one for people like me who like less clutter, less mess, and that is cozy minimalism. So for some people, I feel like we're still going to be seeing minimalistic spaces, but I think taken from the inspiration of these kind of like maximalist styles, they're very homely and very cozy and very British, I suppose, with the fireplaces and the dark walls and all the intricate mouldings. And cozy minimalism is very, again, minimalistic. It doesn't have to mean that the walls are white and clinical. What it is just kind of like less stuff, less clutter, less busyness on the eye, but it's very cozy. So bringing the spaces in, we're bringing lots of textures, lots of cozy, comfy sofas, throws, blankets, and we're trying to make it very cozy, although we want it to be minimalistic by having less stuff, less clutter, because I think it is much easier on the mind. My 8th interior design trend for you is to absolutely sod the interior design trends. So every year trends are changing, chopping and changing, and I've had to sit down and question, like, what is my interior design style? Because I'm very much somebody who loves everything that's on trend, and then I'm questioning myself, like, do I just love trends, or is that my interior design style? So I've been really trying to toy with actually what do I love, because I'm not sure. Like, I'm very sucked in by pretty pictures on Instagram, and I've tried to implement maximalism into my home. Before we renovated the bungalow, I did this loft. I had lots of patterns, green, it was very dark and moody, and although I loved how it looked, I didn't feel good in the space. So I think that's something very important, is how does a space make you feel, rather than if you like it or not, because I feel like you can like something very much, but it doesn't make you feel good, a bit like Prosecco. But yeah, so that was something that I'm trying to think now, how does a dark space make me feel? Do I want it in my home? Because a lot of these dark spaces, I feel like they're very suited to kind of bars or restaurants, but in your actual home, is that practical? So we could just take inspiration from these maximalist styles. We don't have to necessarily implement them completely into our homes. So I think that's something very important for you to take on board when you are looking at these interior design videos, is actually what resonates with you. It's okay if you still like some, I feel like it's important to keep evolving with what's on trend, especially if you're renovating a house. You want to make sure that it's still in fashion, but actually what sits right with you. Is it a dark space that's colour drenched? It might not be. So just to be sure how, because at the end of the day, for example, this room, the walls are white, the skirting boards are white, the doors are white, the ceiling's white, so technically it's colour drenched, but it's just white instead of like dark red. So yeah, I think that's very important, is to just take a step back and think, actually, what do I like? What makes me feel good? I can appreciate something and enjoy how it looks, but is it going to make me feel happy every day for like the next 5 years? So I think that's something really important to take with you at the end of this video, is you know, sod the trends. If you don't like them, if they don't fit with you, then don't do them. If you love them and you've been waiting for maximalism to come back in style, then that is perfect as well. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. I've enjoyed researching all these different interior design trends. They don't necessarily align with what I love, but I love them and I appreciate how they look on Instagram and Pinterest, but maybe just not in my home. With that, I'll leave you here and I will see you in next week's video.